Okay, guys, Adam Trigger here. It is Monday, and we're talking Big Ten basketball. First, like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel so we can continue to bring you these free pick videos. And we're going to go right into a doubleheader of Big Ten basketball games, and we are going to start in Ann Arbor with Penn State at Michigan. You probably can't see it on my sweatshirt right now, but there's an angry Wolverine on the sweatshirt. I'll sit up a little bit. Anyway, that's what Michigan should come out as today after that performance on Friday. Angry and ready to really lay into someone, that someone being Penn State. Of course, Michigan, big primetime game on Friday in West Lafayette, never had a chance. Completely blown out, and I like them to bounce back here. I actually thought, I was hoping to get a better number. I thought that this number is still a little bit inflated at 9. But it doesn't mean Michigan is not the right side. It just means that the books are still ahead of the curve on this Michigan team, still kind of forcing you to pay a premium for Michigan, even with them not covering a couple of late. And that's because Michigan is really good. That's because Dusty May is a fantastic coach. And if you've kind of followed this team this year, I think you know that, like, long term, the outlook for them is great. The offense, that the pick and roll scheme he has going there has them be, a top 15 offense. And I really think Penn State is going to struggle with that here. Michigan at home this season, 9-0. So, they've played great at home. They've blown out a lot of these those 9 games have been blowouts, albeit some against lesser teams. But, Penn State, on the other hand, you want to talk about a team in Michigan that comes in having not covered a couple in a row. Penn State just keeps finding these improbable ways to cover the number. You go back to last Friday night, they play Iowa. They were down 10 with 7 minutes left. They were down 8 with 3 minutes left and kind of, pounded their way through the back door to get the money right there. Go back 2 games ago. I was on Rutgers plus 7.5. Ridiculous cover for Penn State. They get a technical foul called on Ace Bailey on a great dunk, and then a intentional foul late to give them 2 free throws in the ball, and then they get fouled with 4 seconds left to go to the line, hit both, and cover a 7.5 point spread by a half point. So Penn State has gotten some very improbable covers, and I think they're just a little bit fraudulent in my opinion. And now you're asking them to go on the road and have success against a Michigan team that, with the exception of, I'll let the Purdue game slide. With the exception of the Minnesota result, Michigan has been very good, of late. And again, I think it's likely they bounce back here. Penn State on the road this year, 1-4. Their road their road games, the losses that they've covered, the Michigan State game, the Iowa game, the Rutgers game, they were behind significantly in all of those games and kind of came through the back door to get the money at the end. The other one that they lost on the road was a 30-point loss at Illinois. So way I look at this game is this. I don't see Penn State with a chance to win here. I think if Penn State's going to cover 9, they're going to do it similar to the way they did it against Michigan State, against Iowa, against Rutgers, where they hang around just long enough to get in there and lose by 8. I suppose that's the reason that this isn't going on my client card, but I would say more likely scenario in this one is Michigan wins, and Michigan wins going away. Just a big spot for them coming off of an ugly loss, and an efficient game here, I think, has Michigan up by double digits. And so I would lay the 9 if I was going to play this one. If you want to play something that I actually did bet for tonight, I have a 5% play up at WagerTalk, wt.buzz/AT. 13-7 on my 5% plays the last 3 months. So since November 1st, plus 25 units on those plays. So another 5% winner on Friday night in college basketball with St. Francis plus 1.5, no doubter. And I've got another one that goes tonight. So that's something I'm definitely betting. It's the only thing I've bet so far on today's card. But again, I do lean Michigan in that first game, and we're going to talk about another Big Ten game where I've kind of got an opinion. Just not confident enough to sort of fire it at this point, and that's going to be Iowa heading on the road to take on Ohio State. So Iowa's a really tricky team. I've been I follow this team closely since Fran McCaffrey, Siena head coaching legend, took over as the Iowa head coach back in, like 2011 at this point. After the greatest period in the history of Siena basketball, he got the Iowa job. He is still the Iowa coach. And, this is just more so going off memory. This is not one of Fran's better teams. I know they show flashes at times, but I haven't thought this was one of Fran's better teams all year. And I still don't think it's one of Fran McCaffrey's better teams that he's had at Iowa, but they can still score. And that's what makes them a very tricky handicap. Offensively, Iowa still rates out like top 15 nationally. They can put the ball in the basket, but they have been dreadful on the road, and they don't play any defense. I mean, comparatively, they don't play defense. Outside the top 150, in most analytic sites defensive metrics for a Big Ten team that's supposed to be a pretty good Big Ten team is not great, and that's a concern. But Ohio State's just not a team that I want to lay points with. This is just not a team that profiles good as a favorite. There's some data to back that up. Since Big Ten play resumed on January 3rd, Ohio State is 0-4 against the spread, laying points as a favorite. Now they're 2-0 against the number as a dog, but 0-4 against the number, laying points as a favorite since January 3rd. They haven't been good in this role. I just don't think there's a ton of talent on this Ohio State team relative to what they were on paper coming into the season. It's not that they don't have talented guys. It's that their roster is not talented relative to expectation coming into the year. Michi Johnson just left the team. I that still doesn't sit particularly well with me. Aaron Bradshaw is playing like pedestrian minutes at this point. He's really not providing much. Quest Glover, a guy that was supposed to be really good for Kansas State last year, never stepped on the floor, was an awesome scorer at Samford. I mean, the guy's just out there 20 minutes a game and it doesn't do anything. Scores 2 points. It just not providing good minutes. And honestly, I go back to the win, Ohio State's recent win, where they came back in the second half and beat Purdue. And to me, it was more on Purdue kind of trying to sit on a lead, not really playing the game that they should have been playing, than Ohio State being, a better team than Purdue. I don't think Ohio State is a better team than Purdue by any means. I think they just, kind of caught Purdue sleeping in the second half. Ohio State's good defensively. They're not great. Again, I think they lack talent relative to what the perception is. And that's why you see them come into these home spots and lay numbers like 7.5, 7.5, these big numbers. Listen, Iowa, I get it. If you want to make the argument that Iowa is just a terrible road team, it's going to be hard for me to argue with that. They're 0-4 on the road this season. They got absolutely run out by USC and UCLA on that last road trip. But Iowa's been bad on the road for years. And if you've watched this Iowa team, they're going to get one at some point. They're going to get a road win at some point. At worst, they're going to cover a game on the road at some point. I kind of think that point is here. I think you look at these two teams next to each other, the talent is not that different. I like the fact Iowa can score. It keeps them in it, against a potential backdoor opportunity. And I just do not trust Ohio State. They've been terrible as a favorite the last month or so. They come off of that big win over Purdue, and I just think it's a bad spot to be laying points with the Buckeyes. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is where Iowa State kind of like pulls the shocker and gets their road win. But if they don't, there's a good chance they're within 3 possessions. So my lean here is Iowa plus the points. Believe it's 7.5 right now. And again, if you want the game I played tonight, 5% max bet, 13-7 run, big 5% winner on Friday with St. Francis. I've got another one tonight. That's up on my page at wt.buzz/at. Hope you guys cash all your tickets tonight. We'll see you back here in the morning.